Okay, in the name of Lord Jesus Christ, we shall hopefully, well, not hopefully, we will wrap up the last class in 1 Corinthians. That in the morning, we touch upon something a bit more controversial, whether you can have a lawsuit, engage in a lawsuit with another church member or not. I do have some students come and ask me, what if, like all different scenarios, we are unable to discuss about all different scenarios, because a lot of time, different scenario require different ways of handling. So basically, is an overall concept. So when we come to chapter 6, there are a few things that the chapter cover. The first one is about lawsuit. But in here, basically the principle, everything we talk about, that the Apostle Paul gave us a principle. Number one, why don't you have the wisdom to handle your issue? Okay? You are a Christian knowing the Christian principle. You know the Bible, you know what God wants. You know what is you know in life what is important, what is vanity. You learn all this knowledge, but how come you do not have the wisdom to handle situation between you and another person? Conflicts. Number two, why don't you submit to the church or to the will of God? Please do remember, 2,000 years ago, waging a lawsuit is different, the meaning is different than today. 2,000 years ago, as they were colonized by the Roman government, bringing a lawsuit before the Gentile is a great thing. Because in the old days, all the affairs are handled by the head of the household. It's always handled by the head of the tribe. It's always handled by the elders and the leaders within their internal organization. Okay? Like the Jewish people, that's the practice that they held for thousands of years. They go to the rabbis, they go to the priests, they go to the elders. They have an internal system that handle conflicts. Back in Exodus, everybody go and ask Moses how to handle the situation. Thousands of years later, they go to the elders or the rabbis for their wisdom to handle the situation. So at that generation, waging a lawsuit means something totally different than today. Today is only a very common practice. Okay? There's a law. When you have problem, you get to the law, you go to the court, you handle that. It's only about handling. Okay? Nowadays, it's only part of social life. So lawsuit, is socially accepted, not in that generation. So you cannot take something 2,000 years ago and apply it, try to force upon your society today, our society today. 2,000 years ago, when you wage a lawsuit, it's very much like 玉石俱焚. Like, you know what? It's either you die or I die. That's how severe that it gets. Okay? Especially, you reveal everything in front of a stranger, in front of a Gentile. Paul said, why? Why do you need to push so far? Like how, like why do you have to do that? Okay? So that's why at that generation, lawsuit means something very different than today. Today, as I say, is only part of our society. Not, I wouldn't say common, but it's commonly accepted. It happened. So number one, why don't you have the wisdom? Number two, why don't you submit? And number three, why do you? Now this goes two directions. Why do you care so much? But on the opposite end, why do you want so much? If you look at chapter 6, in verse 7, in verse 7 he said, why do you not rather accept wrong? Why do you not rather let yourself be cheated? No, you yourself do wrong and cheat. Now it's talking about two ends. So, this is the one that refused to accept or being wronged. This is the one who tried to wrong others. And according to Paul, they both got problem. This side, remember what we said about vanity, vanity, vanity. No, not my class. I taught that in Ontario. So Ecclesiastes show you all this are vanity. In 1 Corinthians, Apostle Paul told us, all these are only a play. We are on the stage. All these are only a play. So what you are holding on hand is only a movie prop. Okay? It's only a staging. It's only movie props. That you are holding it, you are using it, but it's not yours anyway. So why are you, you remember what we learned earlier when Paul said that all were received. Paul said, what do you have that's not received? Everything that you have is given by God. Everything that you have is received. So why, with the things that was given, why are you so attached to it? And on the other side, Paul rebuked those who wrong others, those who cheat on others. Why are you so greedy? So Paul was rebuking both ends. So the ideal situation in the church or in the conflict, if one is willing to let go, 比较大度比较 more generous or less narrow-minded. If one is like, oh, it's okay, no big deal. But the other one is like, oh no, I need to do something something for you to fix my. You know, when you have this kind of cycle, positive cycle, the one that wrong others try to compensate. The one that being wronged try to let go, even comfort the one that made the mistake. Then it will be easily resolved. But the problem is, how come we do not see spiritual virtue among the members? Oh, why are you so greedy? You want more? Why are you so selfish? You don't care about that you don't care about others. So the cycle is negative. It only brings forth negative result. So number 1 is about lawsuit. Number 2, let's go to chapter 6, verse 12. All things are lawful for me, but not all things are helpful. All things are lawful to me, but I will not be brought under the power of any. 13. Food for the stomach, and the stomach food for the stomach, and the stomach for food, but God will destroy both it and them. Okay, so now Apostle Paul continue with another concept about food and stomach, and basically is talking about desires. He said that all things are permissible. You can do all things, but not all things are helpful. The most important statement is when he said that all things are okay. All things are okay, but I will not be subject to its power. Huh? So now, if we jump topic, going back to the lawsuit. Lawsuit, because Paul said all things are permissible, right? All things are permissible, but do you have to do that? Or why are you doing it? As I say, that are you using it? Like why are you subject to your emotion? Are you subject to your anger? Are you subject to your greediness? Like why? Everything you can do according to Apostle Paul. But then, why are you doing it? Are you the master over it? Or you are being taken captive by it? Okay? So that's where the problem is. So he said, food, yeah, food is okay. You like to eat. You eat all the time. That's your choice. But the problem is that is eating controlling you? Okay? Are you the one in control? You know that probably in your generation, probably for some of you, you like to buy things. I don't know, I don't know if spending money is a big thing for you. Or shall I say, is buying brand name a big thing for you? In the old days, maybe I only face the sisters and say, oh, shopping for pricey brand name. But nowadays, I have to look at both sides. Because apparently that nowadays in your generation, sometimes boys, guys, they are more into buying than girls. They are more into brand name than girls. They are more into, am I good looking than girls? That's a generation thing. I don't care. I don't care. That doesn't bother me. That doesn't bother me. Okay? So nowadays, yeah, you might care a lot about looks, your reputation. You might care a lot about using fancy and expensive stuff. But at the same time, why? Why? Why do you need, or why do you want to use the big brand, fancy brand, lavish brand? I don't really, you know what, in my opinion, I really don't have anything against you use a good brand. I am having more concern about why are you buying a good brand? A few years ago, what is a company? What is a brand? Hermes? Hermes? Huh? Hermes. Okay. Don't know. Never own anything. Oh, actually, I do. Need to go home and check. I think when I was working, my boss gave me something from that company. Yeah. You know what? There was one when I was working. My boss gave me a pen. And at that time, because I don't know the brand, so I said, "Oh, thank you, boss," and I just put it aside. And I didn't know it was a Mont Blanc. It was a Mont Blanc. So I actually tossed it in the garbage can. You know, it's not my fault. Before I toss it, I check on eBay, and it says $20, okay? The only thing they don't tell you that those are fake ones. Right? So I was like, you know, my boss is so cheap. Like, give me a $20 Mont Blanc. We are a 5,000 people company, okay? So I actually tossed it to the trash. But I think God have mercy on me. Because on that very day, I happened to pass by a Mont Blanc store. You know, because I'm not, I never pay attention to that. Until that day, I just passing by, and I just a glance, I saw an identical pen. I was like, hey, that thing looked very familiar. Hey, my pen also got that same, like, you know, the white star spot at the cap. So I passed that, so I took a step back. I was like, that thing looked very familiar. How come the price tag is very different? You know what? When I got home, I was able to get home before my mom dumped out all the trash. So I dig through the trash can, I found the pen back. Yeah. Still got it. Somewhere in the house. I have no idea where it is. Yeah. So, you know what? Some of you might very into like, your 名牌, like, you know, brand name. But let me tell you, a lot of times when you want brand name to show people you have value, it's because you don't have too much value. You are unable to find value elsewhere. That's why you need that to prove to others, hey, look what I got. What's the company? Hermes? Hermes? Huh? Say that again. Okay, not that I care. All right. I heard that they are very expensive. But a few years ago, I read an interview of one of their store owner, and she actually made the statement say, 80% of the customer who shop in our store, they should not be in here. 80%. They are able to tell when you walk in, they know your income doesn't support that kind of life. They say, well, 80% of the customer, they shouldn't even step into this store because this is not their league. But why do they do it? You know, you buy brand name, and then you go home and eat noodles for life, for month. Like you have instant noodles every meal, but when you go out, see what I got, see what I wear. For me, that's very lame. Yeah. Not only show that you are very empty inside, that's why you cannot wait to show others, look what I got. Because that's the only thing I got. Let me tell you that for those who are really have something, they don't care too much about the so-called, they don't show you, or they don't need to show you. As I say, I'm not against you buying brand name, because sometimes brand name does have better quality. They do. Some of the brands, they do have better quality. If that's the reason, and you can afford it, you don't have to borrow money, you don't have to sell your kidney, Okay? So if you are able to afford it and you buy it because of the quality of the material, by all means, because you are not empty, but you are smart. Okay? You know exactly why you spend and invest on something that will last you for the next 15 years. Then that's called wisdom. But if you are just like, oh, you know what, I must buy something expensive so that people think I am very well-to-do. For me, that's very sad. Because you are controlled, you are subject. You are subject to the brand name. You are subject by your ego. Okay? That's how I feel. Because I care, well, yeah. You know that, should I talk about my wife? All right. My wife, because they have family business, and sometimes the customer, the clients, they will send they will buy gift. Still remember when in our engagement, I went to Australia. And then, we visit my parents and I. We visit her, her family, and you know that. We will just walk around the house. The first time visit, right? So I saw a cardboard box at the corner of her room. I was like, "What are those?" And she said, "Oh, gift from people." Like I was like what? Like she said, like, bags, purse, whatever. And I opened it. I couldn't believe it. Like all those fancy brand name bags, purse, wallet, like Gucci, Guess wallet, like a lot of fancy brand names. I was like, "Don't you use them?" She's like, "Oh, those things are not strong enough." For her, what is a good bag? Number one, material must be very strong. Cannot tear that apart. Number two, a lot of pouch. You can put things here and there. For her, that's a good bag. In terms of brand, she's like, "Why would I care?" Another thing is that a few years ago, we bought a car. And I am a very, very cheapo person. So I searched on eBay because she totaled my 3.5 RL Acura Lavish Edition. She totaled it. Even until today, after like 15 years, when I see my old car, like the same model I was like, look at that car. She's like, "How long would it take for you to drop that?" She totaled it, okay? So we need to get a new car. And then because I'm very cheapo, so I managed to find a hail damaged car. Like in Texas, hail damage, like so that on the body that you see like a lot of dent. So yeah, insurance repair everything, but they have to sell as damage. And I just jumped right in. I said, "Here I am." So I still remember. I asked her because the dealer told us that, hey, $1,000 they will replace the front hood where all the dents showed. I asked her, "Do you want to spend $1,000 to fix the body, fix the front hood?" She's like, "Why would I?" She said, "I sit inside. I don't sit outside. I don't see it. Why would I care?" Like, that if you look at the car, you see the dent, you don't like it. She said, "So what? That's your problem." She said, "I sit inside the car. I don't see the dent. Why would I waste $1,000 to fix it?" I was like, what a good woman. Yeah. So we saved $1,000. I'm not telling you anything about the brands. I just want you to know you have to examine your heart. Why? Why are you spending your hard-earned money? Why are you chasing after? You have to ask yourself why, to make sure that you are doing something reasonable. You are the subject, you are in control over your purchase. Instead of being controlled by buying something that you cannot afford, just so that you can show people, hey, brand name, everybody look at me. That's actually very, anyway, continue. Yeah. So in here, Paul says, do not be subject, do not be controlled by food or by desire. Next, in 18. In 18 says that, flee sexual immorality. Everything that a man does is outside of the body, but he who commits sexual immorality sin against his own body. Okay? So number 3, avoid sexual immorality. Now the Bible told us over and over, there are many different kinds of sin. However, sexual immorality actually means something quite different than other sins. It says that other things are external, but sexual immorality is internal. Remember what we learned about, you are the temple of the Lord. Whoever ruins the temple, God will destroy the person. And on that day of class, I did ask you, what happens if you are the one ruining the temple? You are the temple, but you do not own the temple. The Lord said, you are the temple, but the Lord owns the temple. So you do not get to say, my body, I do whatever I want. You don't get to say that. The world tell you that, hey, my body, I do whatever I want with it. There was once, after the service, I talked to a young sister who dressed extremely revealing. Extremely. Like very low, very high, very low, very high. I don't know about the last one. Very low, very high, very low. Okay. So after the service, I don't want to offend her, so I was nicely tell her, maybe dress something more appropriate, and she snapped on me. She said, it is my body. I own my body. I show whatever I want to show. And she said that if any brother look at me and fall in their faith, they deserve to die. That's their problem. That's not her problem. I was like, woo, tough. Yeah. So some people think that my body, I never asked you to look. If you look, you fall into sexual immorality or whatever, you fall into temptations, you die, you deserve it. So yeah, that's at least that's what the sister told me. She's no longer in the church. She's no longer in the church. She thinks that the church bugs her too much. She thinks that the church bothers her too much. Telling her, don't do this, don't do that, don't do this and don't do that. She said, my life, my body, I do whatever I want, and you got no say. That's what she believes. That's not what the Bible says. You are the temple, but you are not the owner of the temple. Whoever ruins the temple, God will destroy the person, including you. Including you. So, number 3, it tells you to avoid sexual immorality. But overall, in all these 3, it actually focuses upon self-discipline. It's always about self-discipline. Right? If you are able to discipline yourself, you will not be in this situation. If you are disciplining yourself, then you will not have this problem, subject to the power of food. If you are able to exercise self-discipline, you will not fall into the trap of sexual immorality. That's chapter 6, your self-control. Now, we are not going to chapter 7. We are going all the way to chapter 10. There's a reason. I will let you know why. No, not that I try to show people that I finish up to 10. Because remember, I am up to 15 already. Okay? I'm able to comfort myself. This class, chapter 15. All right? Let's go to chapter 10. We still have a few minutes. Okay? So let's go to chapter 10. Chapter 9. Chapter 9. In chapter 9, verse 23. This is where I will end our class. Chapter 9, verse 23. Chapter 9, verse 23. Okay. In here it says, now this I do for the gospel's sake, that I may be partaker of it with you. So in here, Apostle Paul says it's all for the sake of gospel, right? It's for gospel's sake, for the sake of the gospel. Okay, so I want to leave you with the statement because this is the core message in 1 Corinthians. Because if you go to chapter 7, in chapter 7, it talks about marriage. Talk about marriage. Since none of you are in the age of marriage, we don't touch the detail. However, if you go to chapter 7, verse 14. For the unbelieving husband is sanctified by the wife, and that the unbelieving wife is sanctified by the husband. Otherwise, your children will be unclean, but now they are holy. Okay? We are not going to touch upon the detail. The main point is that it's all for the sake of the holiness of the children that they get to receive RE education, they get to come to church, so that you stay in an environment that might not be so pleasant. Now it talk about your husband is unbelieving, is not on the same page with your faith, but for the sake of the children, then you will stay and endure in that marriage. For the sake of the husband, you will behave and you will try your best to show the loving kindness. Sometimes in the marriage, the main chorus, the main question is always about why? Not fair. Why do I have to do it? Why don't you do it? So you know what? The argument throughout thousands of years is always the same. When the husband say, why don't you do this? And the wife say, you could do it, you didn't. So you know what? This is like, it becomes like, not deja vu, but it just go back. Because both sides are right. You could do it, you could do it, you could do it. It's the same thing. A while ago, there was one day, there was a plastic bag on the floor in the bathroom in my house. I saw it. I purposely did not pick it up. I actually just walked over it, and I say to myself, I will see when my wife will clean it, will pick it up. Okay, that's what I thought. So day in and day out, I just cross that plastic bag. I come, so I actually endured for 2 weeks. 2 weeks. That bag just there for 2 weeks. Until one day, I couldn't take it anymore. I was like, woman? Oh, no, I don't speak. No, I don't speak. I only dare to speak like that when she's not here, okay? I was like, honey, we need to talk. I was like, do you know that that bag has been in the bathroom for 2 weeks? She looked at me like a little bit puzzled. She's like, uh-huh. And I was like, I have been waiting. I have been waiting to see how long would it take for you to remove that bag. And I think, I know, I caught her by surprise. So she frightened a little. She's like she startled a little. But there's a problem when you marry a smart woman, because they reflect too fast. So she was like, oh, and then suddenly she said, but I have been waiting for you to pick it up for 2 weeks. I was like, no, you did not. Yeah, but you know what I'm saying is, anything is mutual. Like, whatever you say to the other one, they can say that to you too. Okay? So, in marriage, there are some conflicts, arguments. And for the sake of the gospel, you are willing to do the extra. You are willing to swallow your pride. You are willing to, it's not because of the husband. It's because of the gospel. Okay? So in chapter 7, in terms of the marriage, everything you do, marriage is not about who is the boss, or who win, or who lose. A lot of times, the reason that marriage always come into colliding, fighting, arguments, anger, is because they want to know who win. However, if you have this in heart, I did not lose, but I take a step back because I care about the name of my Lord more. Okay? So it's for gospel's sake. In chapter 8, in verse 13, that if food makes my brother stumble, I will never again eat meat, lest I make my brother stumble. In chapter 8, is about food. So Paul said, if eating food is your right. But Paul said, for the sake of the gospel, if my right hurts the children of God, I will fulfill my right for the sake of the gospel. Remember what I said about the sister? I was just like, you have to remember, you pay the same amount of money, but you get less material, right? So when I buy clothes, usually I go for like larger ones. So I feel that, I pay the same, but I got more. So you know what? She might be right when she say, I have the right to wear whatever I want. But it doesn't work when it comes to a godly person. A godly person does not care about owning the right. They care about the sake of the gospel. That's in chapter 8. Paul said, if food cause my brother to stumble, yes, I have the right to eat, but for the sake of God, for the sake of gospel, I will give up my right for God. Okay? Chapter 9. If you look at chapter 9, it talk about working. We need to go. In chapter 9, verse 12. Just go to 15. But I have used none of this thing, nor have I written this thing, that it shall be done so to me. For it would be better for me to die than that anyone shall make my boasting void. We don't have time to read the whole thing, but the idea is, the idea in here is that Apostle Paul said, it is apostles' right to be provided. To be provided. Okay? For food, for lodging, for the sake of, I come and preach, and then you provide my living. It was the right in that generation. Just like today, you make offering, and then church provide living allowance to the pastor. But Paul said, if the result is causing the member to lose heart, Paul said, for the sake of the gospel, again, I fulfill my right. Okay? So basically, the reason, basically we cover all this. 怎么有一段不见了? Oh, we skipped a part. Don't worry, it was in chapter 7. It was in chapter 7, being a slave or being a worker. Being a worker. Okay? But no, we don't have to go back. Our time is up. The concept is always the same. In chapter 7, talking about marriage for the sake of God. In chapter 7, you also talk about if you are workers, you do more for your boss. Not because of the boss, but because people know that you are Christian. So even no one look at you, even no one see anything, but you still do your due diligence. You still work harder. Even they are not there watching you. You still live as an honest person, credible employee. You are trustworthy, not because of your boss, and not because of the payment. It's because you are showing, I am a Christian. And I care about the reputation of Christian more. For the sake of gospel, yeah, I can endure working more, working harder. Okay? So the whole idea, 7 and 8 and 9, they all go back to the same concept. I will go extra mile for the name of my Lord. Okay? So that we shall end it in here as a reminder go back to where we begin about the lawsuit. Okay, go back to, remember in chapter 9 it says for the sake of the gospel. So when it comes to the lawsuit, Paul said, why are you waging lawsuits? Why can't you just take a step back? Do you have the right to do all this? Do you have the right to sue? Yeah, it's your given right, politically given. It is your right to fight for the justice. It is your right to be equal and be fair. It is your right. But for the sake of the gospel, for the name of the Lord, would you be able to think twice and try to find a different way to handle the situation? That's the only thing that Paul asked. For the sake of God, would you think again? Okay, let's all pray in silence.